Hi, this is Brent with Lunacy Audio, and in this video we're going to be running sounds from Haumea through our flagship VST, Cube. Cube is a creative sample-based virtual instrument with hundreds of inspiring sounds and factory presets all bundled in a stunning 3D interface. We're thrilled to announce our new partnership with Lute Audio. For a limited time you can grab Cube and our latest expansion pack, Air, at a great discount exclusively on Lute Audio. So let's get started. I've loaded up the initialized preset here in the browser panel, and now I want to head over to the sounds menu, and here I can either load or drag and drop my own custom sounds into Cube. The sounds panel has 8 samplers, and each one comes with its own arpeggiator and filters in the tweak menu. I have the sounds from Haumea pack loaded into my Ableton Places tab, and I'm going to head into the pads and drones, and I'm going to search through some of these drones and start loading them into Cube's engine. Now to load this, I simply just drag it onto one of the sample-based engines in the sound panel. So upon hearing that, I want to change the playback head so it comes in earlier, and I'm going to activate my envelope and change the main ADSR for this sampler. I can also change the root note here in the sample engine. But let's keep it at the root note for now of C3. Okay, let's head back into the overview menu now and start layering in some more sounds from the sounds from Haumea pack. I'm going to pick another drone, but from a different folder, and drag that onto the B sample player. I'm going to solo this sampler so that I'm no longer hearing the A corner, and I can take advantage of just the B layer, and then I'll blend them into taste after I've made some tweaks. Again, I'm going to change the playhead and do a similar move on the envelope. I'm going to leave the root note at C3, but I'm going to pitch this up an entire octave. I'm now going to boost the color control, which sets the form and filter for this corner. Now let's hear what the samples sound like laid together. I'm going to make some adjustments to my global envelope. I'm going to add in 2 more layers. I'm going to boost the volume of this sampler, which is this flute. And I'm going to add 1 more layer to the D sampler. For this one, I'm going to reverse the sample. And set the sample to loop. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to head into my orbits folder, and I'm going to pick one of these orbits inside of the orbit presets. The orbit allows Cube to blend between all of the different samples in each of the sample layers in the sound engine. We can take advantage of this on the front panel here, or we can have some more control in the orbits panel here. Let's speed this orbit motion up. We can also change the orbit on the front menu just like this. Let's go in the effects menu and apply some effects now. We can hear the patches really starting to come alive, and it's radically different from the original drones and flute layers that came from the Sounds from Haumea pack. I'm going to change the intensity control here, as it smoothens out the overall sound when playing between the individual samples and reduces the overall size of the orbit, as we can see. Now the last thing to do with this patch is to head into the mod matrix and use one of our 4 LFOs to modulate some of the sound layers. So if I head into the mod matrix panel here and activate one of the sources, I'll choose LFO1 and I'll select one of these targets. We can take control of all of the individual menus within Cube. And I'm going to use LFO1 to modulate one of the global controls so you can really hear it in action. Let's do it with the global filter, as this is a very common practice within synthesis. LFO1 is now modulating the filter control on the front here. Now what we can do is we can head back into the mod menu and we can change the rate and the steps of LFO1. Again, I'm going to rein back on the intensity control. And I'm going to make one last adjustment and use LFO2 to modulate a new parameter, and I'm going to use this to change the orb's intensity. As we can see, LFO2 is now modulating the intensity of our orbit here. And we can make some quick adjustments on the front menu by changing the orbit motion's duration. Okay, lastly I'm going to add a limiter. And a bit of chorus. As you can hear, this patch is radically different to the material that's provided in the sample pack, and that's the real beauty of Cube. It can change sounds drastically from one genre to another. This really is a great tool, not just for the presets, but for breathing new life into existing samples that you may have forgotten about. Another great feature, once you've designed your preset, is you can continue to randomize orbits and also the sounds and even the effects for each individual preset. Let's see what it's like if we randomize the effects for this patch. And changing the orbit. It really does change the patch into another completely usable preset. Okay, let's load up the initialized preset once again, and we're going to make a more rhythmic patch here by using some of the string and the percussive loops that come in the Sounds for Haumea pack. Okay, I really like the sound of these mini handpan noodling samples. I'm going to drag this onto the sampler. This will be becoming a pretty familiar workflow for people now. And I'm going to search through the sample here to try and find some golden gems that'll work really well for a patch. I'm going to use less sounds on the sample layers here, but I'm going to focus on diving into the tweak menu for the sounds here and activate the arpeggiator and loop time controls for the individual samplers. If I go in the preset menu here of the arps, I can pick different grooves. I really like this patch. I'm just going to adjust the velocity of the second arp step here. And we can adjust the pitch as well, which is really cool. Okay, if we go into the effects menu now, I'm going to add a convolution reverb once again. And a filter. Now if we go into the mod menu, I'm going to use LFO1 here to modulate that filter that I've set up in the effects menu. So again, LFO1, target that I'm going to select is for the effects menu, and I want it to adjust the filter frequency. Now, even though we only have one sample layer in the sounds menu, we can still apply an orbit to create some movement here. And for this final preset, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take advantage of one of my favorite presets inside of Cube in my favorite menu here. I'll pick one of these presets and I'll head into the sounds menu, and I'm going to drop some of the sounds from Haumea into the sample engines in the sound layer. I'm just going to hear how it processes them from the original sound design for this patch without actually doing any tweaks. So let's drag in some of these drones and let's hear the preset to begin with. Okay, let's drag in some of these sounds from Haumea. I'm going to take one from each drone pack. And we can randomize the orbit, the effects, and let's see how it sounds. So we can hear how it's retained the original sound design that was applied to this preset, and by simply dragging in our own sounds from the Haumea pack, it's really retained that preset but gave it its own custom spin for whatever project we're working on. So this is a great tool if you don't want to dive into the sound design and you want to drag in your own sounds, perhaps from your own field recordings or from your own sample engine or anything that you've collected. You can drag them into Cube on an existing preset and you can get to work within a matter of seconds. So I hope that you found this useful. Please head over to the Lunacy Audio website to discover more about Cube, and we'll see you in future videos.